Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over the all-new 2023 Ram ProMaster lineup. With that being said, let's get into the video. So let's get into the changes for the 2023 ProMaster. So this is a slight refresh. I wouldn't call this a full redesign, but there are some substantial changes. First off, you guys notice with the pictures, the whole front end has pretty much been changed. Basically, new headlights, and they're kind of changing just the overall aesthetic with the grille and just the whole front fascia to make it look a little bit more modern, and I think it works really well. I think that it looks a whole lot better, especially compared to the previous ProMaster. Now you guys can see with the new lights, there are some upgrades with those lights. So the halogen bulbs are apparently 29% brighter with 15% more range, and then there's optional LED lights, which I don't think have ever been available on a ProMaster, so that's really cool. Those have 70% more brightness and 50% more range. And so you're probably going to see quite a few people opt for the LEDs because it seems like the current ProMaster just doesn't have super bright lights. And so this will definitely help out with visibility at night. And on top of that, they're building in like steps into the front bumper so you can access the windshield and windshield wipers a little bit easier, basically to make it so you can clean them easier, which is pretty cool. Now there are some new color options available for the ProMaster as well. So first off, we've got ceramic gray, which will be new, and then Spitfire orange. That is right, you can now buy a bright orange ProMaster, and this is going to appeal more to the lifestyle people. We'll talk about that at the end of today's video. Now, the most exciting news, in my personal opinion, is there is a new roof option. It's called the Super High configuration. So you have the low roof, high roof, and now the Super High. And this is going to be the tallest roof ever with a cargo van, and it's going to be on the 13-foot ProMaster, and it's going to have like the most volume in terms of the interior is what Ram's going for with this setup. And so yeah, just really cool that you'll be able to get a ProMaster with even more space than what you can already get. Now moving on from that, Ram had added a bunch of safety tech to the 2022 ProMaster. Remember my review where they have like the camera mirror, which I think is a game changer for cargo vans, because most cargo vans will have no windows. And so having that rear view camera mirror means you can actually see out the back versus just not being able, like the rear view mirror in a lot of cargo vans is pointless. And then the 360 camera view as well. Now they're adding more driver aids, so parking assistance, which is great. And then they're kind of revamping the dash. So the gauge cluster is a lot more modern, steering wheel looks a lot more modern, controls that are nicer. So if you guys have seen newer products from Stellantis, a lot of that stuff is getting carried over into this ProMaster. Nicer infotainment system, just everything for the driver is a lot more modern and a lot nicer. So it should just be a more inviting cabin overall, which is great and just easier to use. And it will make it so it doesn't feel like you're conceding anything if you're driving this around. Like I did hear from some customers when I sold these ProMasters is, you know, they would have like their regular car and then they'd have the cargo van for their business, and they would be like, ah man, I don't have this feature or that feature that my car has, and they're adding a bunch of features into the ProMaster so that you can basically go from your car to the cargo van, the ProMaster, and it just feels like you're just driving a very similar vehicle, which is great. Powertrain is the same. 3.6 liter V6, 276 horsepower, 250 pound-feet of torque, paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission. Still don't have the diesel back, probably never going to get that back, sadly. And front-wheel drive only, no all-wheel drive. Payload capacity, all that kind of stuff has not changed whatsoever. The new ProMaster will be available at the third quarter of this year, and pricing's probably going to be a little bit higher than what it is currently. Not a massive amount. Again, this is a light refresh and a full redesign, so expect the pricing to jump up a little bit, but it's not going to jump up a massive amount. Now, let's get into the opinion section here with the ProMaster. First off, exterior-wise, I think Ram did a really good job with it. It looks cool. So that's something that Mercedes has always been able to nail with the Sprinter, is the Sprinters just always looked really good. And so that's kind of been part of the appeal of buying a Sprinter is, yeah, it's got the Mercedes badge and they've got all this cool tech and stuff with it, but also it looks good. So I think that Ram nailed it with the styling. And then doing the super high roof, I think that's great, right? It's going to make it more practical. And I think that this is actually targeting both demographics for the ProMaster, right? You, again, have the businesses and you have the lifestyle people. Businesses are going to be like, great, I can store more stuff in the van and I can fit bigger things in the van. And then lifestyle people are going to be like, great, when I do my camper van conversion with this van, I'm going to have even more vertical space. And so that means that I'm able to fit more stuff in the van, which is great. So I think that that was smart with Ram to target both of those demographics. And also with the colors, like I said, I think that targets the lifestyle people more because a lot of companies will just purchase white vans, right? Sometimes black, but usually white vans. And so with Ram offering all these different color options, it's giving people the option to have a van that's a little bit more unique, right? Especially, again, if this is a lifestyle vehicle and it could potentially be your only vehicle, you probably don't want it to look like every other, white work van. You want it to look like something a little bit more unique. And so that's why they're offering colors like the gray and the orange. And I think it's only going to continue. I reviewed a tan ProMaster for 2022, I think. Yeah, it was like tan. So I think you're going to just continue to see more and more colors offered with the ProMaster to basically appeal to the lifestyle people. And moving more towards the lifestyle people, the ProMaster still has one big deficit that they need to fix. So the new Ford Transit has all-wheel drive. The Mercedes Sprinter has all-wheel drive. The ProMaster still just has front-wheel drive. Ram needs to change this, like right away. If they really want to be taken seriously as a lifestyle van maker, they need to offer all-wheel drive. Now, there are some companies that are releasing some fixes for vans that are two-wheel drive, like limited slip differentials, which I will be reviewing a van with that in the near future. You guys will be excited to see that. It's really cool. That being said, though, they just need to offer all-wheel drive. With the Sprinter, for example, they are sold out every single year with their all-wheel drive model. And right now it's on massive back order. It's like impossible to get an all-wheel drive Sprinter. And so there's such a huge demand for an all-wheel drive cargo van. And I don't know why Ram doesn't see this, right? I don't know why they don't just figure it out, right? I know that's an engineering undertaking, but they need to figure that out. And Ford with the Transit is doing that. Now, the one thing that Ram has over Ford, I think, is that the base powertrain with the ProMaster is very strong. You do have the upgraded 3.5 liter EcoBoost you can get in the Transit, but those Transit vans get pretty expensive, and so a lot of people might be going for the lower down engines, which aren't horrible, but they're not necessarily quick. I haven't posted a review yet, but I drove a Transit with, I believe, the 4-cylinder powertrain, and it wasn't quick at all. Like, it was brutally slow. So that's kind of something that Ram does have going for them. But again, the Transit has all-wheel drive. And so these lifestyle people that are taking these vans out into the middle of nowhere, like that's huge here in Utah, where people will go out into the middle of the desert and the mountains, all that kind of stuff, where four-wheel drive is king. And so if someone goes and they try to buy a Sprinter and they can't because it's on back order, they're going to go to Ford and buy a Transit because at least they can get all-wheel drive, even if it doesn't have all of the cool new features that the ProMaster has, and it doesn't have the space that the super high roof has. It has all-wheel drive, right? So I know that I went on a little bit of a rant with that, but I seriously think that Ram needs to do that. But besides that, I think it's great. I think this refresh is welcome for sure. And overall, I think they've done a great job. But if they, like I said, if they want to pull more people from that lifestyle segment, they need to add all-wheel drive. And it'll be interesting to see over the next, this is kind of like a side point, so you guys can click off at this point in the video because we're done with the whole ProMaster topic. It'll be interesting to see the sales numbers with the Ford Transit in the coming year because of the lack of availability with Mercedes Sprinter vans and the fact that there's more and more demand for all-wheel drive cargo vans. And so I'm interested to see if like Ford just drastically increases the amount of all-wheel drive cargo vans they sell because these people want the vans and they want them the way that they want them. So I don't know, it'll be interesting. Anyways, that's going to sum things up. I want you guys to let me know what you think about the new ProMaster. I'll see ya.